is Fox 34 News at 9.
Leaders from Canada visit Lubbock to talk about promoting better trade with West Texas. These discussions intended to bring more business through our region. Our Gabe Martinez joins us to explain how.
The Ports to Plains trade corridor is credited with creating more than 300,000 jobs in Texas, and lawmakers want to see more. They're meeting with leaders from Canada to discuss the benefits of making trade more free-flowing from Alberta, Canada through West Texas.
In the far northern reaches of the panhandle of Texas, a small army operating big equipment is blazing a new trail of concrete and asphalt, side by side with the existing two-lane blacktop, creating a corridor that will connect the port cities of Texas to the mile-high city of Colorado, and eventually all the way to Canada. It's called the Ports to Plains Trade Corridor.
Hello, I'm Congressman Randy Neugebauer from the 19th Congressional District of Texas. A number of years ago, while serving on the Lubbock City Council, it became evidence to myself and others that the trade and population of our great nation was changing. When we looked at the transportation needs for the region and for the country for the future, it became evident that new corridors were needed to move goods and services through our nation with our trading partners. Ports to Plains is one of those corridors, a high priority corridor that provides that opportunity. It's been my honor and privilege to be affiliated with the Ports to Plains vision for a number of years, a vision that has brought great economic opportunity to the region already and has great economic potential for the future.
I think the big thing is it gives them access to the markets. I think you look, 50, 75 years ago, it was farm-to-market roads for farmers to get their crops to the local market, which was usually pretty close by. But today in a global economy, you have to reach those global markets. And that's what Ports to Plains does. It gives you a chance to get in the game. It gives our communities a chance to compete in an international market.
The I-35 corridor through central Texas is maxed out. A four-lane divided highway running from the border of Mexico through West Texas to Oklahoma and New Mexico to Denver, Colorado is creating a lucrative trade route that will also ease congestion on other interstate highways.
We're about really upgrading a two-lane highway in parts to four-lane divided. And I think there's no secret or no mystery that the great economic impact that can have. We've seen it with the interstate construction back 50 years ago, and we've seen the great benefits that can be had by investing in our transportation infrastructure, and it's a great investment for our country.
Investment in transportation infrastructure will help businesses right here in the hub city. The Hurley Companies of Lubbock manufacture water bottles and corrugated packaging materials and have just invested under $11 million into their operation and added 100 new jobs. And with expansion comes even greater shipping needs. Company CEO Tom Hurley.
Well, our company has our own truck lines, and we bring in all our raw materials into Lubbock, and we come from all over the state. And so it's very important to have good roads in West Texas for us to not only bring in our raw materials, but our markets are all over the state of Texas, and we need to be able to get there in a timely manner, cost effectively, and the highway system is the best way to get to most of our customers. Our trucks are not very fuel efficient as any truck is. It's something that we need the best road system to be able to continue to move and not stop and start and get there in a manner that lets us pick up our load and not have to spend an extra day waiting to get loaded or unloaded. So the road is very important to us. It'll help generate a tremendous amount of growth for this part of the state and all the states that are along the corridor. It's a great opportunity for economic development, and it'll bring a lot of opportunities for people for employment as well as new businesses coming in.
Well, work is already underway, and in fact, the Ports to Plains corridor is already a major corridor. There's already goods moving from Canada to Mexico and from the region to Canada and to Mexico. And so what we're working on now is upgrading it to meet the future demand, and because as we begin to make this a major transportation corridor, obviously the usage is going to increase. If we don't make the investment in upgrading it and making it a viable thoroughfare for goods movement, then what will happen to the Ports to Plains is similar to what's happened to some of the other interstate systems, is that it becomes congested because the traffic increases but the capacity has not.
Business in Lubbock is booming, with new industries and jobs already making Lubbock the hub of the South Plains. But an extended 4-lane highway system connecting Lubbock to the north and south borders of the U.S. will help expand economic opportunities and help Lubbock become more than just the hub of the plains.
You know, it's like anything else. It's a plan, and when you don't have a plan, people say, well, you know, what am I going to do? So when you can say, hey, we've got a plan that you can get your products down to Mexico or bring things to your plant from Mexico, it's a huge benefit. So I'm still very excited about Ports Plains. I'm still very interested, optimistic to truckers all over the country. Hey, here's another way you can run that is a lot less congested than I-35. And you can get out here in West Texas and run the speed limit almost all the way through.
But it's not just about moving cargo and people. The corridor will also have the ability to move wind-generated electricity and also oil.
One area we're excited about is the energy component, the energy piece of it. You know, we connect with Alberta up in Canada, which is the U.S. largest supplier of oil, foreign supplier of oil, and they have the second largest reserves of oil in the world in Alberta, and we can connect with them.
Oil experts in both the U.S. and Canada estimate that the Alberta oil sands has a reserve of 175 to 180 billion barrels of oil, making it the second largest in the world. Alberta's government officials have a strong interest in developing a new trade route to Texas, one of its major trading partners.
Our figure for total trade to the United States is around the $80 billion mark, but we're talking a lot of oil, and that moves by pipeline. By truck, though, to Texas is right now over $2.5 billion, and that works both ways. And it really boils down to, this whole thing boils down to another border crossing for Alberta, and that's been my major focus. And with that, we might as well, once you get the crossing there, you might as well have a road to go someplace. And as an alternate route to Texas and through Texas, through Denver, through Texas, to Mexico, I think it's a win-win both ways.
Also, the wind energy, we've seen tremendous growth in wind energy and renewable energy, and one of the biggest limiting factors is transmission capacity. And so we're working with the Department of Transportation to help utilize our corridor right-of-way, hopefully, for the potential to locate some of those transmission lines, which is beneficial because I know a lot of the farmers and ranchers don't want the transmission lines cutting across their properties, and we can help by facilitating that because there's already a highway. We're not looking to expand beyond where the highway is already. So it's a less intrusive way of bringing the clean energy and providing jobs and investment in our region as well.
Ports to Plains has already secured hundreds of millions of dollars from state and federal sources, which has helped to either start or complete hundreds of miles of highway along the corridor. Nearly 40% of the project is underway, and the number one priority is to continue securing funding.
I'm excited that TxDOT has taken the lead in this by funding the study to show the viability of it and how it needs to be done and how it needs to be built, as well as how to finance it.
Many miles, almost all of the miles on the Ports to Plains corridor are on the federal highway system, the national highway system. And so we're able to use federal and state dollars to upgrade the facilities along this corridor. I think the importance down the road is making sure that we make transportation a national priority, much the way we did in the early 50s when we started the interstate system, and that will require a cooperation between federal and state governments to make sure that these corridors are upgraded and completed, and in many cases new corridors are created.
This is a project that is going to connect our West Texas towns with our NAFTA corridors, and I hope that it's going to spur economic development and trade that will be going into Texas and all over the country through Texas from Mexico and Canada on down. So I think it's a great connection. It's something that I support fully. We've gotten it authorized, and it's time to keep working and building up the communities that will benefit from the Ports to Plains.
Work on the Ports to Plains corridor continues to progress with hundreds of millions of dollars in projects scheduled. Although not complete yet, the corridor is already bringing new money, new business, new jobs, and new residents to the small towns and big cities in its path.